day for us because it's bonus day, results day, so we just announced 11% bonus for all 93,000 partners who own the John Lewis partnership. And that reflects, I think, an 11% increase in profits in... Oh, thank you. Yes, we own it. It's ours. It's our business. We're the biggest employee-owned company in the UK by some margin. And that reflected a significant rise, 11% in John Lewis retail. But because of the extreme competition in the grocery market, we grew our market share, but profits were down a bit over 20%. But that's 6 weeks' wages in bonus for all of our partners. Now, I just want to know who the audience is. Who in this room, in some way, either because you're in a startup or in another company or you're doing a job, would put I'm an innovator in their job description? That's good. Right, so I've got news for you. So last year we ran an incubator called JLab, and with not a great deal of imagination, we're running another one called JLab 2015, which we're soft launching next week, and there'll be more on the internet in 2 weeks' time. Jack, where are you? My colleague Jack, who works with me on strategy and sort of innovation communications, so you can pounce on him afterwards about this. So, but I think we'll be very interested in some of your thoughts. So I'm really full of doubt about this. When I was asked to talk about this, I mean, I've been talking about the Internet of Things for 5 years. I'm used to be chairman. I'm still on the board of something called CETA, which is a sort of air transport telecommunications software company. So like as not, you know, if you do check-in in Beijing or Mumbai or Geneva, you know, it'll be a CETA set. You know, we do global communications. I did a keynote for them in 2010 when I talked about this thing, you know, which is, so an A380 is flying to Singapore. We know critical parts going to go out of service in a few hours. You know, it's not a safety issue, but you've got to put the plane on the ground. And I was sort of, as well as chair, I was sort of CIO at British Airways, so you've got to put the plane down on the ground in Singapore. That implies things. So you've got to reaccommodate the passengers. You've got to get another aircraft, probably 2 777s, down to Singapore. You've got the crew are going to be out of hours. You've got to get another crew down there. You've got to get the parts down. You've got to find the engineers to fit it, get that right. If you knew, and that was entirely possible in 2010, given the A380 or the Boeing 787, if you knew that was going to happen, and all of these things are going to tell you that, what do you do about it? If you could really fix those things, if you could look after the passengers, if you could get the schedules altered, you know, if you could get the plane back up in the air, you would do brilliant customer service. You would differentiate yourself and you'd save yourself millions of pounds. But as far as I know, nobody really does that. And you know, I'm going to pick that up a bit later, you know, which is, I think, as previous people have said, you know, it's what you do with the data. Which is why I put Dan Dare and Star Trek there. You know, I think, you know, we can all see the possibilities of this, but you know, we're just at that stage of, you know, how has this all come together? Where are the use cases? Where are the real things that are going to make a significant difference? So, you know, it is an absolutely, you know, significant opportunity. You know, we all know the work in talking about smart cities, all those sort of things. I think the healthcare, clearly, none of us know whether Apple are going to transform the wearables, but personally, I wouldn't bet against them. We were, you know, on Black Friday, we were selling one iPad every second. So I think they know their markets and have transformed others. But the fact that, you know, the ability to monitor all of our health vital signs, you know, who here has got some kind of app or a Fitbit or Jawbone? Most of us, I reckon, of this sort of population. So, you know, this is all, you know, it's here, the data's being generated. You know, the question is, you know, which bit of data is the bit you're going to really, really worry about that's going to give you a warning that, that there's some real issue? And also, is the NHS, is your GP able to cope with all of that data coming at you or coming at them and do something meaningful with it? Very interesting. is the insurance industry going to want to see all that data to give you a lower premium? And how about those of us who are less than fit? Now that will encourage us to get fit, but maybe we have things that we can't fix. So, you know, really interesting in terms of health, transport, smart cities, I'm sure. But I'm down to talk about the future of retail I saw in 15 minutes, which is quite a challenge. So what about Internet of Things in retail? And already John Lewis sells a lot of smart stuff. Smart because it's nicely designed, of course, but smart because it's got intelligence in. So all those televisions. You know, we sell light bulbs. Now, you can buy your lights, you can equip your house with some very smart bulbs that will change colour, and you know, you can change the intensity, you can make sure they're on, you can do things like that. But after you've sort of changed the colour of your light bulbs remotely 3 times, do you still really want to do that? I mean, it's quite useful for freaking out the dog, or you know, or worrying the cat. But you know, was it really worth it? I did hear a great story about somebody who bought, you know, the integrated home controller and was having dinner with, you know, the sort of business dinner, and say, hey, look, this is fantastic. You know, in London restaurants, and sort of do this. Look, I can open the garage door. You know, I can turn the heating on and off. You know, and he was busy demonstrating it to his friends, and then his wife rang up and said, "Please, please stop mucking about with our house." You know. Nest is fascinating, isn't it? I mean, that was bought by Google by billions of dollars, a lot, and we sell it. And you know, I think it's a really fascinating thing, and has the ability to optimize, you know, your energy control. But I was looking at the Nest website, and as I say, I'm a great fan of theirs. But they're now selling it, looked to me like they're selling it as a smart thermostat. You know, almost talking down the ability, you know, to be the basis of a genuinely connected home. You know, so how smart do you really want your kettle to be? You know, maybe it's a great thing it remembers exactly how you have your tea done. Maybe you don't care that much. So, you know, we're selling a lot of these things. Personally, I'm an early adopter. I love them, but I'm not seeing the use cases. And I guess this is the challenge to all you innovator startups in the room. You know, are actually the things that normal people will really, really want to buy. So, you know, the Nest, I think, costs about £250, perhaps slightly more. And I've seen, and again, I may be wrong, and I'm really not taking a pop at them because I think they're actually fantastically sort of pushing these things. But, you know, if that saves you £100 on your energy bills a year, it's pretty good. But, you know, that's going to take some time to pay back. So the thing I'd be really interested in from you guys is, you know, what's really going to make the difference? What are people really going to want to buy? You know, is it linking security with energy, you know, with lighting and environment? You know, all of that sort of stuff. And actually, I think this is where John Lewis has a role to play, and why we are intensely interested in this area. Because I think it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be a bit like, now, as you can see, I'm a very old person, and I remember the days when you put your hi-fi together. And you bought an amp, and then you know you bore people rigid with the sort of speakers that you bought with it, and then you bought a tape deck, and you know, put that, and then you know, sort of vinyl playing deck. My God, you know, these days you just go Sonos and link it with iTunes or whatever you want to do. But I think there's going to be, we're already seeing it, a deafening noise about this is the next best thing. You know, people like Cisco are pushing it. You know, we all know why, you know, because it drives network traffic. There are going to be lots of great ideas. And I think, and this is where I think John Lewis comes in, is people will want that explained. So one of the reasons Nest, I think, has had challenges in this country is in the States, I think there are 4 protocols for energy controllers. your basic thermostats, boilers, those sort of things. I believe in the UK, it's well, 12, 16. So, it's actually quite hard to integrate these into anything that is not a new build. So people are going to want advice. They will want to understand what IoT means. Is it really going to save me money? Is it going to make me more secure? What am I going to use? And how the heck do I make it work? And if you think, that's the great thing that, sort of Apple did, was make technology a thing of beauty that works straight out of the box. So, the only wireless I've ever bought that works straight out of the box was the Apple wireless. So I think it's the things that, if you're looking for something in retail, it'll be the things that will really connect with the mass of consumers and the things that will work really, really easily and give me answers. And, I think that's, that's a big role that, as a trusted retailer, we in John Lewis, can provide, and one we're actively looking at. And that's why, I talked about our JLab incubator. And I put the immortal and inimitable Douglas Adams up there in the Sirius Cybernetic Corporation. As his prediction of the door that opens and says it's a pleasure to serve you and you want to kill it. That's what the Internet of Things shouldn't be, which is giving me lots of pieces of service I don't really want. It's got to be about something that I really, really do want. Yeah, somebody they can trust for impartial advice. So, I think we probably all know this. Key to this is going to be data. And I think there are two aspects I really want to highlight here. The first bit about, is spotting that bit of data. So, you probably get it today. People say there will be 1 trillion pieces of data emitted every year, by 2020. And some people say there'll be 500 billion. These are all round numbers and they're all meaningless. There will be a lot of data. The one I like is that there will be, in 5 minutes in, pick a year, 2018, the amount of data generated by devices, by all this instrumentation, will be equivalent to everything produced, the amount of data produced before 1900. So, if the choice is between information from your kettle or Sherlock Holmes, I know which one I prefer. And the key thing is in this tidal wave of data, what's the bit that matters? The bit that matters coming out of that, let's say it was a A380 engine. Knowing that matters, and we were talking about this just before. And the really key thing, doing something, and probably doing something in an automated way that really, really makes a difference is going to be the key in the corporate environment. Again, lots of people talking about it. There are lots of tools to do this. But coping with all that information, picking the thing that matters, and then acting upon it in a real way that saves money, helps your customers, stops you dying, if it's health, really, really, really important. So I think that's why I go on that. The second thing on data is, I expect if we did a survey around this room, we'd find very different sorts of issues and thoughts about this. Some people are going to be really, really worried about giving their home data to this thing out there. So who owns that data? Everybody wants it. So, pick at random. So Samsung, if you buy a smart fridge, you happy about all, how you use your fridge, what's in your fridge as things get tags on? Are you happy about that going to them and them selling it? Or are you happy about that going to the telcos and them using it? Or are you happy for that to go to the retailer? Or are you very unhappy about that information going anywhere? And I think there probably would be, every extreme in this room. There will be some of us who will go, that's the modern world. I'm out, we all know I'm out there. I know my information's there. actually, just being open enables a retailer, enables somebody else, provider to give me better service. At the other extreme, there are people who just don't want to go there. And if you're John Lewis, and if one of your core values is looking after your customers, that's something we worry about very, very much. So that's the second thing. My final point, and then I will stop, is something I came across, which was a very interesting article that talked about something that opened by saying, when Stephen Hawking, Bill Gates, and Elon Musk, of PayPal and Tesla fame, all agree on something it's worth paying attention to. And they talked about the dangers of artificial intelligence. And Elon Musk talked about the possibilities that are now with us in terms of artificial intelligence, in terms of summoning the devil. So I think we ought to think about playing with the demons. And if you think about putting the Internet of Things, the connectivity of almost everything, with artificial intelligence, is this going to be like Watt and the harnessing of steam, or Einstein and the splitting of the atom? Is this actually machines being able to at least mimic human consciousness and mend themselves? So is it the end of human civilization, or the next great evolutionary step forward? I think we're, at a very interesting point in terms of development, which opens some really, really big questions, and it's both exciting and frightening, and I've got to stop there.
Thank you very much, Paul. Lots packed in there. And I know we didn't even get to touch on things like iBeacons and so on, kind of, again, bricks and mortar IoT. Yeah,
interestingly, the people who won Locales, are they in the room? I saw something there. Of an iBeacon company. They won the £100,000 prize.
From your incubator?
For incubator,
right.
And we put it into Peter Jones in terms of click and collect, so as a pilot. So you're coming in, if you've said to the customer data point, you want to get a push notification, your parcel's here, collect it in 15 minutes.
That's something that the Internet of Things, smartphones, mobile technology enables, is personalisation. And that's all about the quality of service. And, this is an advert for John Lewis partnership, obviously. But that's something that's part of your brand values, isn't it? It's quality of service. And this technology enables you to do that.
It does, but it's a service that you want.
Yes.
And then your point about differentiation is some people will expect us to know them, and they will have gone, yes, 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 yes. I'm very happy that you use all information. You understand, where I've been looking on the website.
Yep.
Push things at me that there. Other people will go, no, thank you.
Okay. Good stuff. Any questions for Paul right now? Straight away at the front here, sir. Hello.
Hi.
Yep, it's working.
Ian Cameron, I'd like to invite you to speculate, taking a step forward from what you were saying very interestingly about finding key information points in lots of data. Given your excellent results that you've just announced, can you speculate why it was that Tesco, having led the way on customer data through their loyalty card approach, how they lost the sight of their audience with the opposite results to those which you celebrated? So in that instance, would I be right in thinking that big data didn't yield to big benefit?
I'm absolutely not going to speculate on Tesco any more than I'd wish them to speculate on John Lewis. I think what we do in John Lewis is try and follow where customers are going. I think we try and offer things, but one of the big successes has been click and collect, and I believe that's because that puts people in control of picking things up, and and it's very simple. And you look back and it's sort of obvious. When we launched it, we had no idea. I think what we've tried to do is not is recognise that the world is changing, and the world of retail started changing 3 or 4 years ago, when everybody in retail said there is no way anybody on a mobile phone is going to buy a sofa. Grow up, get over it. Yeah, absolutely. People buy all sorts of things on mobile phones, and they will sometimes, they'll shop in very different ways. So what we've tried to do is adapt. But I honestly feel that, here we are in 2015. What retail will look like in 2020 is anyone's guess. iPad launched 2010, was it? Yep. So goodness only knows what the channels will be by then. So you've got to be flexible. So that's what we're trying to do, is listen to our customers and recognise that it's very hard to predict where they're going.
It's about calculated risk as well. I mean, the thing I picked up from what you just said is that when you launched Click and Collect, you had no idea of the impact of that, or you didn't have any historical data. You kind of had a hunch and a plan that, well, this might be a thing, let's give it a go. It's about making those calculated risks.
Well, indeed, and on the face of it, having something delivered to your home, is going to be a better proposition. Yeah. But actually, it put people in control. So I used to be at British Airways. One of the things we found there was, self-service kiosk and then online check-in and those sort of things. Yeah. Actually, a lot of what we want when we're dealing is to be in control ourselves. So putting that in the hands of your customers, is a thing a lot of people want. The other thing to remember, which I think one big takeaway for all of you, and this is and forgive me, this is sort of obvious, we are not all the same. Yep. In what we want.
Some people want to pick up something, have a look at it.
Indeed.
Try and break it in store. Other people say, yep, I want that, I'll take it home. And I trust the reviews that other people have written.
Indeed, and depending where you are, so if you're on the train, my horrible commute through Clapham Junction, I cheer myself up by, looking at things, and I might be browsing, so I might do a Click and Collect there. But, depending on your generation, your age, what you're buying, how you're feeling, how time-pressed you are, you're going to go one way or the other. So you've got to keep remembering that. So that means that as a retailer, you've got to provide multiple channels, which all have to work.
Listen, Paul, I wish we had more time to talk, but I'm afraid we don't. I so wanted to pick you up on the artificial intelligence thing and what Elon Musk said, but another time, perhaps, or maybe in another session later on. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Paul Coby from John Lewis.